right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Danger on the front lines at healthcare facilities. Tonight, the I-Team unveils a plan to keep healthcare workers in the Show Me State safe.
Low clouds and fog. The area is most likely to see the murky sky early Tuesday and the potential problem any fog could cause.
Our top story, a triple shooting leaves 2 people dead in South St. Louis County. Tonight, we're learning one of the victims was just 15 years old.
It was very startling and heartbreaking.
Police are still looking tonight for the people who opened fire at an apartment complex in Oakville. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. The shooting happened this afternoon in the parking lot of the Black Forest apartment. Robert Townsend talked with the grieving sister of the teen killed. He joins us from the newsroom.
Kelly and Mike, tonight, Colin Courtwright's family, as you can imagine, is hurting. They cannot believe their young loved one was shot and killed about 9 hours ago. Just after noon Monday, Clarissa Starnes says she talked to her baby brother, 15-year-old Colin Courtwright, on the phone.
Everything was fine, and then we got a phone call a couple hours later saying he was gone.
St. Louis County Police say shortly after 1, gunshots rang out outside this apartment complex in Oakville. Family members say Colin Courtwright was shot and killed in the parking lot. An adult man also shot and died on the way to a hospital. Paramedics found a third shooting victim at a nearby cul-de-sac and rushed him to a hospital. Courtwright's heartbroken father rushed to the scene after hearing his son died.
It was very startling and heartbreaking, tremendously. Yeah, he was a great person. He had great spirits, well lifted. He was probably just with the wrong crowd.
Starnes says her brother did not live at the apartment complex but did have friends who stayed here. Police believe 2 groups in 2 cars were involved in the shooting. They blocked off this section of the apartment complex for hours. Parts of Chalet Hill Drive near Baumgartner Road were also temporarily closed.
It was in this back parking lot, so it really wasn't visible to the residents.
And it was just quick. You know, bang, bang.
Carson Pedroli was doing electrical work inside one of the apartment buildings when he heard all the commotion.
I see just another lady walking around, see what's going on, and she starts freaking out, and then I look out the other window, and that's when I saw the guy laying there.
Police believe after the deadly shooting, the shooter or shooters took off.
No, I didn't see the car itself, but I heard it. It sped off pretty fast.
I hope and pray they do find them, yeah.
Courtwright was the youngest of 5. Now, investigators ask anyone with information about the shooting to call St. Louis County Police or Crime Stoppers.
Well, it's going to be a mild February week in St. Louis.
But some areas could drop below freezing and see fog develop overnight. Weather First Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell's here to tell us if the fog will stick around for your morning drive.
Well, we have to get it to develop first, Kelly, and there's no guarantee on that even as we head through the overnight hours because of the high thin clouds that have been across the area tonight. And those high thin clouds, check out this sunset tonight. Gorgeous shot. We had some beautiful color. Alan over in Breeze shared this on the 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group page. We love to see those pictures. I see we're dropping into the 40s right now. We just have high, thin clouds. Many of us are sliding back into the 30s. Give you a different perspective here on our cloud cover. Those high, thin clouds, that's the magenta, the darker magenta there. That yellow over in Indiana, up in northern Illinois, that's the low cloud cover that's trying to back actually towards us from the east. We'll see if it gets here. Most likely areas east of St. Louis to get some of those low clouds and some patchy fog. If we do get the patchy fog, especially if we can get some localized dense fog with temperatures just below freezing down into the upper 20s, there could be a few slick spots on the elevated surfaces. But outside of that, it is mild through the rest of the week. And our shower chance Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. More on that, Kelly, in a few minutes.
All right, see you then, Scott. New tonight, 2 people are dead after a single car crash in Jefferson County. It happened around 6:40 tonight on State Road 30 and Old Gravoy Road. The victims' identities have not been released. Right now, Overland police are looking for the man wanted for a deadly shooting outside a bar. It happened Friday night at STL on the Rocks Bar and Grill on Page. Melvin Fraction is wanted for second-degree murder. Investigators say he shot and killed Rashad Red. The shooting stemmed from a fight in the bar.
Right now, St. Louis police are still looking for a teen murder suspect who's been on the run for more than 48 hours.
The 17-year-old escaped from his cell at the St. Louis Juvenile Detention Center on Saturday night. 5 on your side's Andy Kroll is live in St. Louis tonight with why more information about the suspect has not been released. Annie.
Well, exactly, Mike. Police have still not released that 17-year-old murder suspect's name because he is a minor, but that is causing some concerns about the public safety. The teenager is charged with second-degree murder, accused of killing 20-year-old Calvin Kelly at the end of October in North St. Louis. Kelly's mother wants to know how this could even happen. Video surveillance showed him rolling under a security gate in the parking garage just before 6 p.m. on Saturday. So why aren't police releasing more information about the escapee? Well, Missouri law statute 211.321 makes juvenile court records confidential. SLU criminology professor Dr. Diane McGuire says police can file a court order to get documents with identifying information, even though he is a juvenile.
They either haven't been successful yet, I mean, possibly they tried and we just don't know they tried, or they've decided not to. Now, why might they decide not to? Well, they might be concerned about vigilantism. Like, you know, this is a case that's got people pretty upset. And maybe they think, well, if the person's name's released, that might cause even more problems.
Now, police tell us this is still a very active investigation, so if you have any information about the escapee, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at that number on your screen, which is 866-371-TIPS. Reporting live in downtown St. Louis, Annie Kroll, 5 on your side.
Tonight, 3 Belleville men are behind bars charged in connection to a carjacking in downtown St. Louis that led to shots being fired at an Illinois state trooper. They're Devon McLaurin, Casey Richardson, and Abdullah Jones. Investigators believe the trio carjacked a driver at 6th and Locust in downtown on the night of January 27th. They are accused of opening fire on a state trooper when he tried to pull them over in East St. Louis. The trooper was not hurt.
Today was launch day for a controversial drone surveillance program in St. Louis. Now the FAA is getting involved. SMS Novel Films was expected to fly drones over some neighborhoods and then live stream up to 3 hours this afternoon. However, it's unclear if the drones were even up in the air. According to the company's website, people who pay for the service can submit requests to look at certain addresses on a live feed. According to city officials, the FAA told the company it could not use drones for commercial purposes in Gravois Park and Forest Park.
Tonight, dozens of former Heritage House residents have joined a class action lawsuit after burst pipes forced them from their homes.
They're suing the owners and other connected companies of the high-rise in the Central West End, and our Laura Barczewski explains those residents are still looking for a place to live. Laura?
Mike and Kelly residents now have temporary housing until the end of the month, but they're suing for breach of contract and wrongful eviction. Lawyers say there are even former residents involved who had only signed lease agreements a month prior to that eviction. Heritage House residents in Midtown have been through a lot. Their apartment homes have been ripped out from underneath of them because of massive flood damage due to bursting pipes during frigid temperatures. Former resident Judith Pruitt says this was only the tip of the iceberg.
Each time we had a management group, the management groups didn't do the repairs properly. So every year something else was going wrong.
It had been her home for 18 years, and ever since the middle of January, she, like many other residents, have been shuttled around from hotel to hotel until a permanent solution can be found.
That was a very nice building, and I'm real sorry that this happened to our building and to the people here.
Attorney Thayer Weaver says they're representing 60 residents right now, but this lawsuit is for all of the residents who've been wronged.
First and foremost, we want to make sure these individuals are treated fairly, reasonably, and made as whole as possible. What do I mean by whole? They have decent housing. They have somewhere at night to go lay their heads and not worry about someone knocking on the door at 2 or 3 a.m. telling them they have to get up and leave.
Thanks to the city and private donors, the residents can now stay at the Cozy Suites in Central West End and the downtown West End until the end of the month. Weaver says they've filed a preliminary injunction and temporary restraining order stating years of neglect on the company's part.
These incidents began as early as 2019, and it will appear logical that as a maintenance company or the owner of property that certain repairs, necessary repairs, would have been made. Unfortunately, there was none.
I reached out to the Sansone Group, which currently runs the property, for a comment regarding the now pending lawsuit and did not hear back.
Thanks, Laura. Tonight, St. Louis County Police are investigating after thieves target workers at several Asian businesses. According to police, criminals are following workers home and breaking into their home when they go back to work. At least 7 businesses in West County have been impacted in recent weeks. So we asked police why they think Asian businesses are the target.
So I believe the perception is out there that the Asian community doesn't trust banks and therefore they keep large amounts of cash in their homes. So that is why they're being targeted.
I mean, they think it's easy that, you know, some lazy people, they don't want to work and they just want to take something from others. That's just shame on them.
Investigators believe it's an organized group committing the crimes. Anyone with information should call police.
They swear an oath to do no harm. But sometimes healthcare workers are put in harm's way.
I had a stab wound right back here, right behind my ear, that I was lucky didn't go into my brain.
It's a growing problem the I-Team has been investigating for years.
We have to make sure that we're protecting our frontline workers.
Tonight, the first of its kind legislation in Missouri designed to make healthcare safer.
It could be life or death.
California is getting clobbered tonight, but most of that moisture is squeezed out before that system arrives here. We're tracking potential fog and the next chance of rain in 7 minutes.
For years, the I-Team has exposed the impact of violence against healthcare workers.
Nurses, paramedics, even physicians targeted inside hospitals and clinics. Now, as senior investigative reporter Paula Vassan reports, there's a new plan to take action and better protect them.
It happens in a split second. Patients becoming violent inside healthcare facilities. Often it's against the very people trying to help them. It happened to retired paramedic Kayla McMahon. Nearly 2 years later, she still deals with PTSD from a brutal attack at this hospital's ER.
I had a stab wound right back here, right behind my ear, that I was lucky didn't go into my brain.
A woman came into SSM Health DePaul Hospital with a knife.
Bridgeton PD is also up there at the ER.
She stabbed a nurse in her head and neck.
DePaul is currently on lockdown.
McMahon rushed to help her coworker, getting stabbed herself. She later learned the attacker got past the security desk because no one was there.
You were so traumatized that you left the industry.
Yes, I did. I have not gone back.
When you first learned about this issue, what was your reaction?
Honestly, it was jaw-dropping.
Missouri Representative Justin Hicks just filed the first of its kind legislation in the state.
It gives the individual healthcare worker more power instead of the hospitals by itself.
The bill would prevent hospitals from requiring employees to restrain patients if they fear for their own safety.
It could be life or death.
Many healthcare workers say it could mean a new level of protection. Missouri does not have a state plan with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, a government agency that enforces safe working conditions. It's why the nation's largest association of registered nurses says improved federal legislation is the answer. Hicks calls his bill a step in the right direction.
We have to make sure that we're protecting our frontline workers.
Putting more dollars into hiring security, he says.
I think it's great.
McMahon believes more security staff would have prevented her attack.
This bill says we can safely step back and say, hey, we're not comfortable. We're not going to take care of this patient that's trying to hurt us and or make our situation unsafe.
The president of the Missouri Hospital Association tells the I-Team he's got concerns about the legislation. He says it could actually make it harder for hospitals to care for patients, taking away tools like de-escalation techniques. In response, Representative Hicks says he wants to figure out a solution because healthcare workers should not go to work in fear. For the I-Team, Paula Vassan, 5 on your side.
And Missouri Senator Nick Schroer just filed the same statewide health care bill to prevent violence against healthcare workers in the state Senate. Lawmakers say filing bills in both chambers could make it more likely a bill will pass. If you have a tip for Paula and the 5 on your side I-Team, you can leave a voice message at this number, 314-444-5231, or just send an email to tips@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.
Growing backlash tonight on Capitol Hill to the bipartisan border security bill. Just hours ago, Senate Republican leaders held a special closed-door meeting tonight. They presented the details of the proposal of House Republicans. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer believes he has the 60 votes to pass it in the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson doubled down tonight, saying the deal is dead on arrival in the House.
But what they produced for us right now really isn't a border security bill. It's an immigration bill, and that is not what is needed for the moment. It does not meet the criteria that we have said very clearly and repeatedly.
History is going to look over our shoulders and ask if the Senate rose to the occasion. We must act.
This includes changes to asylum and immigration laws. It would also trigger a shutdown at the border if more than 5,000 migrants cross per day.
Tonight, a strong and historic storm continues to batter Southern California, where record rainfall has led to flooding and mudslides. More than 1 million people are without power. Downtown LA saw more than 4 inches of rain yesterday, the wettest single day in nearly 20 years. This is the second storm spawned by an atmospheric river to hit the state in a matter of days.
Let's check in again with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with the Weather First forecast, and we're not getting any of that kind of stuff, are we?
And by the time that system gets here, it's kind of lost most of its moisture. We're just seeing a few high thin clouds today, made for a beautiful sunset, but around LA, they're up to about 8 inches of rain now in the last couple of 3 days, and upwards of a foot in the mountains. But we've just enjoyed high clouds today, temperatures in the 50s. How about this? One of our weather watchers, Megan out in Wentzville, shared this on the 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group. You can just search 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers on Facebook. Join our group. Isn't that a gorgeous shot, especially the reflection there off the pond? Temperatures, once you get out of town, they drop back into the 30s pretty quickly. Edwardsville's down to 32, 34 in St. Charles, 33 right now down in Arnold, 38 in Baldwin. Still 43 in Forest Park. Still have that low cloud cover off to our east into Indiana. The distance for that to get here, it would be right around sunrise if it can back into St. Louis. One thing that we may have going for us, these high thin clouds that are overhead, that tends to limit the atmosphere's ability to create much fog. So if we can keep the high thin clouds a little while longer, maybe we can scoop by without having problems tomorrow morning. 58 was our high today, 33 was the low. Lambert's already down to 37 degrees. Here's your futurecast of visibility looking into tomorrow. Along and east of the Mississippi River is our most likely area to see the low clouds building in and also some fog. Now, if we do get some local areas of dense fog with temperatures just below freezing, keep in mind these areas east of St. Louis, we could have some bridges that get a little slick because of that. Our overnight low temperatures dropping back into the mid and upper 20s and around 30 degrees or so in St. Louis. Now, as we look across the rest of the region, yes, just some high thin clouds here in St. Louis right now. There's your atmospheric river just plowing into Southern California with all that heavy rainfall. And again, this is pretty much all stuck out here. By the time it gets across the mountains, we'll just see a few clouds and eventually maybe a little shower action. Any clouds tomorrow morning, scoot off. And by lunchtime, we should be mostly sunny. A little cooler tomorrow compared with today, but still a pretty decent day. Thursday, moisture is increasing. This is really all that's going to be left of that system out west. And we'll be looking at a few scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder heading into Thursday evening, Thursday night. By Friday, a cold front comes through and we will cool off a bit heading into the weekend. So your next 10 days, and heads up, this includes Valentine's Day. Mike, Valentine's Day is next week. Frank, you hear that? And we're talking temperatures around 54 degrees on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. By the time we get to next week, our highs are back down into the 40s. So we've got some mild weather here. But by the time we get to next week, we're a little more typical for February.
Do we get a break on Valentine's Day because we have to work?
No.
No.
You have to be a big fat no.
Well,
She
there you
answered your
have it.
question.
All right, Scott, thank you. Sports with Frank is next.
Do they sell blenders at Costco?
Oh, my
Battle High
Blender.
schedule, Super Bowl interviews, and a hit and run with Joe Buck coming up.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
Over 6,000 media members from 26 different countries covered media night in Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58 tonight. Travis Kelce, of course, was asked about Taylor Swift.
I don't know if I brought too much to the game. I think I just go out there and have fun. You know, Taylor has an unbelievable fan base that follows her and supports her throughout her life, and it's been fun to kind of gather the Swifties in the Chiefs Kingdom and open them up to the football world.
UFL schedules out. Game 1 for the Battlehawks in Michigan, March 30th, but the biggie will be the home opener against the champs, the Arlington Renegades, on April 6th. ABC will broadcast the game. The team is pushing for 40,000 people. Speaking of big numbers, an anonymous donor just gave Mizzou $62 million, $50 million to improve Memorial Stadium, and another $12 million to the Tiger Fund to buy football and basketball players. Vashon has won 4 state titles in a row tonight at Miller Career Academy. And when you look at number 4, Armand Aaron popping that 3, that is effortless. And then it's Leon Powell Jr. Jump stop, fade away. They are so good. Vashon rolls 84-47. The Cardinals are heading south next week, but the equipment and supplies have to get there first. This was the scene at Busch Stadium this morning. We're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. Pitchers and catchers report on the 13th. We often play hit and run with a sports celebrity. It's rapid fire Q&A with no hedging allowed. Tonight, it's time for Joe Buck to play. What happens first in St. Louis? A World Series, a Stanley Cup, or an MLS Cup championship?
Wow. Is there a fourth option? I'll say MLS Cup championship.
Interest in the Battlehawks 1 to 10.
I'm proud because people at ESPN and across the country know about the support that they get here, and they're kind of freaked out and blown away by it, and that makes me feel good as a St. Louisan and a proud one at that. I mean, I'm a 5. I'm not going down to games.
Your golf game, better now or better 5 years ago? Are you an ascending player or a descending player right now?
That's a good question. It depends on the day, but I would say as far as where I am this offseason leading into next year, I am an ascending player, ready for greatness at the Tahoe American Century Golf Tournament. If I get invited again, I will have a good showing this year.
Favorite TV series growing up?
I was kind of like the typical kid of the 80s. You know, the Fantasy Island, Love Boat Run.
Julie McCoy was attractive.
Julie McCoy was attractive.
If Tom Brady came to you right now and asked you for advice about moving into this broadcasting world, what would you tell him, and has he already?
I would tell him what my dad told Kelly Chase when my dad visited Kelly on his first Blues radio game, and Kelly showed my dad all of his notes. And my dad said, "Oh, let me see those." And he took them and threw them out of the booth. And he said, "You've played this game your entire life. You know what you're looking at. You know the players. Sit here, open your eyes, and describe what you see."
Are your 5.5-year-old twins old enough to realize Dad's got a really cool job, or do they just think, Dad goes to work?
My mom says the first time I saw my dad on TV, I went up and was crying at the TV because I thought I was stuck in there. That's how dumb I was. Until you get a little bit more in the world and you realize, you know, this guy's dad's an accountant, this guy's mom's a doctor, this guy, they don't care.
Great honesty there. You know, the answer about Brady's kind of interesting. And I think the advice is good, but if you're Tom Brady, you're not going to do that because he became great from being methodical and being so detail-oriented. I bet he's going to come in there with a stack.
Well, he always did his homework. That's what made him great.
And you know what?
And he was that way in practices, too.
And his partner, Troy Aikman, does the same thing. Huge notes. Joe says he hopes for a gust of wind to knock over his notes. But it's good advice, though.
That is good advice, though. All right. Thanks, Frank. Eating big for the big game. The numbers that may sack that second trip to your Super Bowl spread.
The big game brings out big appetites. More than 1.4 billion chicken wings will be consumed on Super Bowl Sunday. That's 4 each per every American. Football fans will also scarf down more than 11 million pounds of potato chips. 50 million cases of beer will be sold for Sunday, totaling more than $1 billion.
Well, according to Charbroil, 29% of Super Bowl partygoers will spend more time in front of the food than the TV. Some research suggests Americans could consume more than 8,000 calories while watching the big game. That's 4 times the average daily recommended caloric intake.
How many chicken wings at your house?
I was going to say, that's going to be a lot of chicken
Won't
wings.
be at my house, but I know where they are, and I'm going to find them. Yes, and the chips, you know.
Of course.
Just think about that, though, how much more expensive potato chips are now than they were a couple of years ago. Crazy. All right, tomorrow morning, if we have some fog, especially east of St. Louis on the Illinois side, we'll watch out for a couple of slick spots. But it should become pretty bright, and hopefully most of us don't have to deal with the fog.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Be sure to start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.